Welcome to the June 8th, 2023 meeting of the Decatur Architectural Review Board. I will call roll with each commission member answering present. Ellis Chenal. Lynn Schubert.
Present.
Bill Stone.
Present.
I'm Jacob Woods, the board chair, and we have a quorum present. Dr. Swope is the city's preservation specialist. Thank you to everyone who is attending today. Your involvement in this commission's proceedings is vital to the effectiveness of this process. There's a copy of the agenda out front if you would like one. Historic district designation means your neighborhood has been recognized by the United States government, the state of Alabama, and the city of Decatur as being architecturally or historically significant to our community. Historic districts are not created to prevent changes, but rather to ensure that the proposed changes are appropriate to the individual property and the districts as a whole. The board's responsibility is to review the appropriateness of all proposed changes. Each historic resource within the district is assessed on its own individual merits, which is appropriate for one property may not be appropriate for another based on resource age, location, neighboring properties, and stylistic details. The Architecture Review Board's rulings are based on written standards and regulations that guide our review and decision making. These guidelines and the Commission's decisions have the force of the city ordinance. You can access our guidelines along with application forms on the city's website. Our hearing process is as follows. Staff will present the applications. When they are read, when they read your name and property address, please be prepared to come to the podium. Staff will present the application and staff assessment of each request. When staff has finished presenting the application item, the applicant and/or designated representative will then state their name and address and provide any additional information or comments regarding that application item. The board may ask clarifying questions of the applicant at this time. Next, we will hear any public comments on that particular application item only. After public comment has closed, the chair will entertain a motion and the board will discuss and dispense with that application item. Staff will then proceed to the next application item and so forth. An approved certificate of appropriateness, or COA, will be issued in the form of an email that CCs both the applicant and the building department approximately 1 week after this hearing. The document will outline and reaffirm what was approved and that the project has been approved. A COA must be issued before a building permit can be obtained. If any changes to your project are anticipated after the COA is issued, it is the responsibility of the homeowner to contact staff and she will help guide you. In some cases, you may be required to submit the changes for review and issuance of a new COA. If your project is denied and you are not issued a COA, you will be issued a letter stating the reason for denial and additional information. Denied COAs will be sent via certified mail to the property owner's address, filed with the Morgan County Revenue Commissioner's office. You may resubmit an application with revised plans at a future meeting. There is an appeal process for denied COAs as well, which is spelled out in the municipal ordinance under section 1825 and 1892. After all applications are heard, the commission will entertain general comments from the public limited to 3 minutes per individual. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from our May 11th?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see. Expedited COAs.
This last month, we had 315 Lafayette, new roof, 407 Line, new roof, 421 6, hand railings, and 405 Canal, which is a new fence. For the new COAs, this month, we have 809 Line Street Northeast. This is the Thomas residence. This property sits at the intersection of Line and Church Street in Old Decatur. It is a vacant lot, and the owner of the house at 809 Line would like a large addition. The Craftsman is a contributing resource within the Bank Street Old Decatur Historic District. The commission approved a large addition with a different design in March of 2021, but material cost increased due to COVID, and inflation made that design non-executable at a reasonable cost. At that particular junction, there was considerable discussion of the property's church facade. Staff consulted with the State Historic Preservation Office for guidance. Due to the Church Street elevation being a primary street and facade, but the building is at the same time an addition, guidance was to ensure that Church Street facade met the rhythm of neighboring buildings, and that special care should occur to treat the hyphen area as an addition with the appropriate setbacks and clear delineation between the two properties. This project has been in front of the former HPC as part of a courtesy review. So many of you were here when it was an HPC a couple months ago with courtesy review. So the action requested on this is approval of the new design. The red circle is the location of the existing house. The yellow star is the vacant lot the addition will go on to. Decatur's design review standards, and that was sort of new construction. We're sort of toggling between new construction and addition on this. That was within your original packet. With fencing, fences on readily visible secondary vantages should be no higher than 6 feet. With other fences, that is the section 12, 1.4, the use of solid brick along street vantages is not appropriate at principal street vantage. It's appropriate at secondary. Staff findings for this, and this is the existing house as seen on Line Street. This is the vacant lot, and trying to get it so you can see a little bit of the neighboring houses as well. And this is the site plan. Floor plan showing you where they connect. So on the left of this image is the existing house, on the right is the addition. Height, it appears to meet the standards. Proportion, it appears to meet the standards for most of the house. The Line Street porch supports, it's questionable on if they meet the standards. Rhythm appears to meet standards. Setbacks appears to meet the setbacks, and I'll let Jacob as the architect confirm that. Design, the main design is consistent with the district, the house, and the standards. The hyphen could be articulated more clearly with the change in material or fenctation profile. Materials list, you have an attached materials list. Roofs, the pitch on the roof is low as possible and still meet the requirements for the shingle warranty on parts of it. Porches, the size and proportion appears to meet standards. The design proportions and style on the posts on Line Street with their taper is not consistent with similar ones within the district, but straight posts, so the same number, but just keep them straight, would be consistent. And 309 Church Street would be an example of that sort of rhythm. Fencing, the commission approved extending the existing brick wall for the prior COA, but they did require that it drop down to 6 feet. And the rationale for that was that existing brick wall had been on that property for so long that it was continuing a design feature, and it wasn't coming too far into the front yard. There has been discussion on where it should end, but that was the rationale for that. And they have approved masonry walls before where they are continuing an existing vintage masonry wall based on sight lines. Jacob, I will turn it back to you.
First of all, I want to thank you for being here, and I thank you for the review process too, going through that, and hopefully it'll speed things up here. Is there any comments from the other commission members on what they've seen and reviewed in the packet?
No, I mean, I've just, with the comment on the columns, I don't know whether y'all have any issues with that.
I think when I was looking at it, they looked a little small. I think when the taper started to go up, it kind of got a little spindly where it didn't have enough mass to the column. And if I really do think that the straight column would look, the two columns looks fine. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
Because I know we had made that kind of comment last time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, the straight columns, I think would really add a
8
little-
inch, 10 inch.
I'm not even sure that that's. What do you have now on there? At the bottom, because I know it tapers up. but
At the
there is a-
bottom, I think it's 12 and it goes up to like 7.5 or something. It's something like that.
I would probably say at least 10 to 12. I mean,
Yeah.
just because you get that 8 at the top,
Mhm.
that's what kind of makes it look spindly, and it doesn't look
Okay.
like it's the right proportion for it. But I think overall, the rhythm and the movement of that looks good with the double columns.
All right.
I think the other thing I looked at was the setbacks on the plan. It looked like, looking at the adjacent house, that it was sticking a little bit further out in front of it. Now, I know this is not quote-unquote an official survey.
Mhm.
You know, you probably got the information off of something,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it was a survey or not. But based on what's drawn here, you're within the plus or minus 10% that the guidelines allow for the setbacks.
Mhm.
I think you'll still have to look at the setbacks that the city has for the zone that it's in and verify that. So I would say getting it staked or getting it set before you start building it, get that verified and make sure you're within that average.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, we're 5 feet further away from the property line than the originally approved design as
Yeah.
well. So just as an FYI.
Yeah. So I mean, I wasn't here for that one.
Oh
so-
yeah, yeah. I wasn't
I'm just
either.
kinda-
So
I'm just kind of looking at what I got in front of me. So
yeah.
So yeah, that was one thing I looked at. Let me see here. I think on the brick wall, I know that was something that had been approved before, but there was some question on height. I know brick walls and brick fences kind of get a little testy on those because they're technically, you like to keep them in the back and not be visible. And I know there's some that are out there that have been built in the past, and this particular house has one that's existing. I guess according to, I don't know where I saw it, maybe on your material. Yeah, on the material list, it looked like you were saying the existing fence is 82 inches in height, and then the corners, I guess to the top of the
Yeah.
cap is at 85.
Mm-hmm.
I would think on the parts you're adding, if we could drop that to 72 and maybe even have the cap at the corner be at 75, so you're keeping the same, the same detail between top of fence and top of column.
Okay.
That,
Yeah, just
If
a
that
step
makes sense.
down.
yeah,
And
just to kind of step
continuation.
down. And it looks like you were removing it at a corner column, so it kind of makes a break that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you see a lot of fences that drop in height as they move along the landscape anyway, so I think that
Yeah, we have no problems with doing that.
the, I don't know if she would entertain dropping it back to the back wall of the exercise room where it hit right the screen porch.
She does have a rambunctious dog, and she would like to have that as like a dog run.
A little bit more space. Yeah.
And I think for the neighbors' sake too, you know, having that that dog run area would be beneficial to the neighborhood. We tried to keep the Church Street section as short as possible, but we would hope to be able to get that dog run area within the exercise room. Also because the back half of the exercise room, I don't know if you were speaking to like the very back corner or to the
No, I
screen
was
porch.
like kind of mid-span, kind of like where the porch and the house
Right,
kind of.
right there where the
Yes.
cursor is? Okay.
So you're not kind of attaching right to the corner of the house. It'd be kind of pulled back just a little bit. It just helps hide it from that Church Street elevation.
Okay.
Is
I think that like bringing it to there would probably be acceptable. I think that would be too far.
No, that's
right?
not where I was talking. I
Okay.
was talking like the
Perfect.
wall between the exercise room and the screen porch.
Sorry, I
So
misunderstood.
basically that front edge of the screen porch as it would represent on the elevation, is that what I heard?
It would be on that side elevation, it would be the screen porch,
Okay.
wall closest to the street.
Okay,
So, but I guess it's about mid-span of that
Mhm.
elevation. So it give you a chance to landscape around that corner or whatever, and kind of not have it die right in the corner of that.
Okay. Would you prefer it be lined up with the gable, like the middle of the? There's not a gable end because it hips, but would you prefer? Okay.
I don't think that really,
Okay.
I don't really have
Okay.
an issue with that either way. What do you?
No, I would agree with you.
So drop it to 72, 75 at the cap, and back to that corner. All right.
I think that the other thing I saw, I guess the brick siding in the material list. I'm assuming that's just the brick foundation.
Yes. To match the existing. That's what the builder recommended for matching size and texture.
I know that kind of going through the guidelines and looking through this stuff. The one thing you get to masonry is, I guess it's in section 2, number 5, like the painting of the masonry, which has not been previously painted, is not appropriate. I know this is new construction, and I'm wondering if taking that brick foundation and not painting it could help delineate between what was old and what is new. I wonder if that would be
Yeah.
something you could, maybe even changing the brick color to match what you want to do, but not paint it.
Yeah, I think that would look great because the differentiation between the hyphen itself would be back far enough that it'd be a subtle movement as far as elevation goes, but on the Church Street side, we would have no problems aesthetically with actual raw brick and then the siding above. So
Okay. Very good. One thing I didn't see too, and not that it's a change, but the sconces, where are those going to be located, or how are you? Are they on the wall or the columns, or
they're
how?
on the wall back here.
Okay.
So
Have you had 2 listed. Were they different sizes for different porches, or were they?
yes, we're using the larger ones here and the smaller ones here.
I don't have any.
I have issues with that. Okay. Let's see if I had anything else. I think that's all I had. I mean, they were kind of minor little tweaks from what we discussed before.
Okay.
Anything else for you? Okay. You want me to make the motion?
Well, I would say I'd make the motion, but I want to make sure that I get in there about the column. You may help
Okay.
us out to make sure that we get in all of the things that we talked about.
I make a
in-
motion to approve this COA with the following amendments, that the grouped tapered columns on Line Street would be 10 or 12-inch straight columns, that the new brick wall would be dropped to a 6-foot height with the corner column at a 75-inch maximum height, and that the location of that wall would slide, was that 12 foot 6?
Yeah, 13 feet back.
13 feet back from the front corner of the wing on the house. And that the foundation brick would not be painted.
Second.
Jacob, you made the motion. Lynn, did I hear you make a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I got everything on that real quick. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome.
Alright.
Thanks, guys.
Motion passes. I will get you a signed off COA with this info on it by the start of next week. And tell Karen she can start shopping for building supplies. Thank you. That is it. We have just the two compliance updates. 504 Walnut, that's with legal on June 20th. 411 Walnut, that's the brick wall, that needs to be in compliance by August 31st to meet the legal agreement he reached with the court. And training, in-person training, which covers outreach, 106 review, and preservation basics. Morgan County Archives, Saturday, June 17th at 8. It is mostly designed for the full HPC, but I think portions of it y'all might find really helpful. And it's in person, so the two trainers, one of them is coming in from Pueblo, Colorado. The other one is the State Historic Preservation Officer, the second position, the Deputy Officer, I believe, or maybe she is the full one, for the state of North Carolina. So we're pulling in, and she was a former attorney as well. So she was the one that gave the briefing. We had the two lawyers that did the briefing on legal practices. This is Ramona Bartos, the one
Okay.
that, so
Okay.
you get to see her in person. So, and that is it for today. This might be our fastest meeting ever.
I think so.
Do I have a motion or anything anyone else want to talk about?
I
Anything else?
move that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Oh, no.
Come on, it's a nice night.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.